Thank you, PJ. It is time for another edition of the Pair and a Spare podcast. I'm Justin Gaard from The Fan. We've got Chip Scoggins from the Minnesota Star Tribune, Ryan Burns from GopherIllustrated.com. We are presented, as always, by our great partners at Jack's Cafe. Make your reservations at jackscafe.com, jaxcafe.com. Are we all recovered from a late night in Berkeley, California, or a late night in Woodbury, Minnesota? For Gophers Cal, how are the sleep schedules, boys? Chipper, start with you. Did you make it through the whole game?
I did. I made it through the whole game. I had 3 late nights in a row, and I slept last night for like 17 hours, I feel like. I did my Friday night. I had a football across Minnesota. I visited wonderful Wadena, Minnesota. Have you ever been to Wadena? Great little town.
I have. It's up by Park Rapids, which is where my grandparents' cabin was. So I've driven through Wadena quite a bit.
Yeah, so I spent Friday night there at their football game for a football across Minnesota. It's going to land on the Star Tribune here Tuesday sometime. And then the Gopher game Saturday night. And then the Vikings game Sunday night. So I'm not used to staying up till 1 in the morning 3 nights in a row. I'm not young anymore.
So did you stay in Wadena or did you drive?
No, I drove back. I went to
wow.
the game and then drove back. I got back about, I don't know, 12:30 probably.
I was really hoping you were at the Park Rapids American or something like, or the Super 8 right there on 34.
I decided to come on back.
All right. Burnsy, did you stay up all night? Your idea that I'm just going to power right through the deadlines for GopherIllustrated.com and hop on a 6 a.m. flight back home?
Well, I thought to myself, WWJD, what would Justin do?
Yeah.
And the feedback I overwhelmingly got was stay up. So you and I recorded something about 1:30 in the morning local time.
We'll talk about that.
And then I stayed up the entire time working through the night for the 6 a.m. flight out of San Francisco home. And then once I did get home, I couldn't fall asleep because by that point, you're just so awake. I mean, I slept like the dead Sunday night. I'll be the first one to tell you. But that was a night. I hate night games because whether it's at home, especially if it's a home game, you don't get home till 1, 2 in the morning, and then you just lay there because you're so wired and
so wired, yeah.
And then you have to get up in a few hours anyway.
I used to always tell people that when I covered, whether the Wild, whatever, when you cover them, that you can't go to sleep. Like, you wind up going to bed at 4 in the morning, and people are like, you just don't come home and go to bed. I'm like, think if you had a 9 to 5 and the most stressful, wild adrenaline rush that you had was at 4:00 p.m. Would you come home and get in bed at 6? Like, it's impossible. Like, you're so amped up from that deadline rush and all that it's like you gotta come home, have a couple beers, watch TV, and the next thing you know, it's like, oh my God, it's 4:00 and you go to bed.
Right. Well, you'll both be happy that we got the announcement on Monday that Gophers Rutgers is 11 a.m. The next time that the Gophers take the field, it will be 11 a.m. Speaking of feedback, we'll get to the feedback for our Gopher Football Sunday broadcast, Burnsy, maybe a little bit later in the pod. I'll just say, it takes what it takes, and you do what you can, and you're welcome is what I'll say to everybody that was listening, because it was a pain in the ass. But we will get to that in a little bit. Let's not delay at all. Let's talk about the game, the Gophers Cal game, which started slowly, got kind of better, then didn't at all, and an absolute meltdown. Burnsy, what was the headline, or what are the headlines from the Gophers' disappointing, perhaps damaging loss to Cal on Saturday?
What are you, my message board with everything going on, that this is a damaging loss? I think just the way that the team imploded after that Jamison Gears touchdown was disheartening. Offensively, defensively, certainly on special teams. It was the worst game of Coy Perich's life, of which we'll find out how he recovers during the bye week. And it's just one of those games where Minnesota didn't play well, and you're thinking to yourself, they take the late lead 14 to 10, and they should be able to get the ball back with 8 minutes left, then down a touchdown, and Coy makes the decision to try and field the punt, which he shouldn't have done, Chip. And
yeah,
I think that's where the discussion leads off. Is it's not just Coy. Like, Like I just said, it's
No.
offense, it's defense, it's special team, it's flex decision to run the ball again on a 3rd and 7. But Coy Perich, I feel for him, but national spotlight, ESPN, there's nowhere to hide, Chip.
Yeah, no, I mean, Coy's obviously going to get the most attention, but across the board, I thought it was poorly played and poorly coached. I mean, there's no other way to say it. I mean, that is not it's probably a better Cal team than I thought. Defensively, they're good. I thought their front seven was good. I wasn't crazy about their back end, but I thought their front seven good defensively. Quarterbacks, obviously talented, but that's a game. If you play a crisp game, it doesn't have to be. You're never going to play perfect, but you can win that game. I just thought they played poorly. I thought defensively they didn't get enough. They waited too long to try to get pressure on that kid, let him get into rhythm. I thought tackling wasn't there. Too many breakdowns. We can talk about the 3rd and 7. I did not like that at all. It was old Fleck. I mean, as I tweeted, trust the quarterback. Trust the quarterback. You learned last year to trust the quarterback. Don't play for field goals. He'll come back to bite you. But I just thought it was a poor performance by them.
Do you want to guess? Because I looked into this, and I know that I saw the talk during the game, and I wrote about it afterwards, and I agree that Minnesota didn't get enough pressure on what I think might be the best quarterback they see all year, and that's of no slight to whatever they see at Oregon or Ohio State. That kid was really good. Do you want to guess what percentage of the time, according to Pro Football Focus, they blitzed Sangapolutele? He had 42 dropbacks in this game. What percentage did Danny Collins send a blitz?
A third, maybe.
Would you say 42 dropbacks?
He had 42 dropbacks.
15?
Minnesota blitzed 43% of the time, which it didn't feel like that, certainly.
No.
And you can argue they should have blitzed more, knowing that what his splits were under pressure versus when he was kept clean. And the thing that Danny Collins, it felt like Minnesota's defensive coordinator made the decision of is he wanted to see if Sangapolutele could dink and dunk his way down the field, which I'd argue he certainly did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I also think that Minnesota's back end may not be as good as what we think they are, considering that Danny Collins is the safeties coach. He knows the DBs very well, and it felt like he didn't believe that they could cover Cal, which is a problem. One-on-one on an island, he didn't think they could do it. Where you see the long 51-yard completion where they do bring pressure, but the defensive back doesn't know where the ball is, or even that drive before halftime. The play that is going to bug the absolute bejeebies out of me is 3rd and 13, and they convert. Why? Because Minnesota drops 8 into coverage, which is fine on a 3rd and 13.
Yeah.
But you have two guys obliterate one another when Emmanuel Carmo just takes out a defensive back because he doesn't somehow see him in front of his face, which then the guy breaks wide open. If you just get off the field there, that's 3 points off the board. Mm-hmm. There were too many times defensively, or even the first touchdown, Coy Perich has his eyes in the backfield for a reason I have, unbeknownst to me.
Right.
Another touchdown where two guys have the guy at the 3rd down marker. Neither of them get him down. He pirouettes out. A third guy misses a tackle. I didn't hate the defensive game plan. They did, like we said, they blitzed 43% of the time. Should it have been more? Probably, but I think there's more issues on the back end than what we were anticipating is one of my takeaways from this game. Other than, two, if your name's not Anthony Smith up front, you're not getting anything resembling pressure. That was incredibly disheartening.
Well, that's where, I mean, that 43% was surprising because it felt like it was either 3 or 4 most of the time, and that kid got into a rhythm. So I guess that eye test will fool you sometimes. But you're right. Even if he's doing 3 or 4, I think Danny's counting on that front group to get pressure, and other than Anthony, it wasn't happening. You got to give credit to Cal there. But when you say that, Burns, we talked about the corners. We knew that was going to be a big question mark. You're lumping the safeties in there too, that you don't think maybe that group is performing the way we thought they were?
Yeah, it also doesn't help that I listened to a young sideline reporter during the game for KFAN. I'm unsure of his name, but he told us that Kerry Brown was dealing with a back issue. And Kerry Brown had a game of which he wants back. Coy Perich didn't play well. And if you just, I don't know that there's a player you can point to defensively that played well. I also think that Brian Harsin, former Mark Coyle hire at Boise State and then infamously flamed out at Auburn, now in his first chance back here with Cal, his changeup in the second half to go from throwing the ball 25 times and running it 3 times to then establishing a running game on that drive after the Jamison Gears touchdown was a great changeup, and I didn't think Collins and the defense adjusted to it quick enough. But I don't know, like I said, that you can point to a player defensively in that game on Friday that played well. I don't think all of them necessarily played poorly, but the fact that I can't off the top of my head think of one that it's that guy for a majority of the time was really good is kind of worrisome to me, is what I'll say.
Yeah, it was interesting because that first half, they just completely abandoned the run, Cal. I mean, they didn't even try. They just
chucked it.
We're going to let this kid throw it 100 times. No. Yeah, so it was interesting that they did revert there. But, yeah, you're right. I mean, you watch that game, and it's like there was nobody making the kind of play that turned the tide. Like,
well, that's the other issue with it.
Kept waiting for it. Wait, I'm sorry.
And I wrote about it was in their last 5 games against FBS competition. So it's a sample size that goes back to last year. We're talking, I think it's Wisconsin, Penn State, Virginia Tech, Buffalo, and now Cal. Do you want to guess how many defensive takeaways they have forced?
5 games?
Yep. And that,
5,
so to be clear, interceptions, fumble recoveries, not turnovers on downs.
Yeah.
2. I'm going to go with 2.
I'll say 1 a game, 5.
They have 1 defensive takeaway in the last 5 FBS games.
Oh, wow.
That's such a tough place to live when you have an offense philosophically the way that PJ Fleck wants. And they didn't have a defensive takeaway again. And Fleck's 78% number, and we can chastise him and we can get into the different things like that. But the defensive takeaways have dried up, and that's not just a Danny Collins problem. That went back to the end of the Corey Heatherman regime. The only takeaway in that time is the Zaquan Bryan interception against Virginia Tech.
But Burnsy, what's their bowl game? What's the record in that stretch? Do you?
It's 3-2, which is remarkable.
In the bowl game, I don't care about honestly. I mean, I know it's a FBS, but
that coach just got fired. The bowl game coach,
Brent Fry.
Yeah, Virginia Tech coach just got fired.
It would be curious to see like what their turnovers are in those 5 games and kind of what the disparity is. But yeah, you're right. They're just not getting those, and we saw those, and that's not just this team because this offense. I mean, that's every team. I mean, you've got to create turnovers, and I don't know if that's getting a lack of pressure from their line. Is it?
It's a culmination of things.
It's a lot of things. Obviously, it's not just one thing. But
I wish it was just one thing that we could point to. But I don't know that it just is one thing. And it's not just the defense. And I know
we'll talk about the offense.
I pigeonholed us here into the defensive discussion. But that's the thing to me is when you have only 1 takeaway in the last 5 games against FBS competition. I know just last week against Northwestern State, they had 4 and a couple of defensive touchdowns. But when the level of competition ramps up and they're struggling to do anything, they haven't had a fumble recovery since Ja Joyner sacked Luke Altmaier. That was in early November of last year. It's one of the things I'm trying to figure out here during the bye week, or even if you're Danny Collins and this defensive staff, is they would point to, I'm sure, we just had some against Northwestern State.
Don't stop. That doesn't count. I'm sorry.
That's my point with the sample size. So
that's great against the inferior. But when you're going against FBS, these are going to be close games. These are going to be 1-score games. These are going to be tight games, and that's what's going to swing it. Right. I mean, that's what swung this game dramatically. I mean, that was a special teams mistake, but it was, I mean, great that you can get, pick off passes against the FCS team, but you've got to be able to. And it's one of those things. Turnovers are always a tricky thing because we watch every team practice. They do the punch-out drills. They do the different things. I mean, Fleck ends every practice with that punch-out drill. So it's not like teams don't probably talk about it, emphasize it, work on it. And, sometimes those things are a product of, different things. I mean, obviously, I think some lucky bounces going in there. But they've got to I think it starts with getting pressure, affecting the quarterback, getting multiple guys running to the ball, all those things, and they just got to start, be, trying to create more than they, than what they're getting, because that's in these conference games, that's what swings it. That's absolutely what determines, those, one score games.
Well, the question I want to pose to the two of you is the Coy Perich discussion of how do you reset him?
Yeah.
He has, like I had mentioned earlier, I think likely the worst game of his athletic career. Happens to be on national television, but I didn't think in the 3-game sample size that we have so far, he was necessarily playing well, whether that was on defense or has a couple of special teams gaffes in this game. So my question to you, and I guess I'll ask you, Justin, is what do you do with Coy? Do you take more off of his plate and take him off return, take him off offense, and have him start to focus on defense solely? Do you think it's a blip in the long term of this, or how do you address Coy Perich playing like we know Coy Perich is capable of?
Yeah, I would say it's a blip. I was also going to say, what do you think is left on his plate right now, Burnsy? That was going to be my question for you, because you've talked about the plate forever. I think a lot of food's on his plate right now. I don't think he's been eating much. And yeah, just let's talk about defense first. I felt like he should have had an interception on one of the first 2 Cal drives where he was just like a step late a couple of times to be there. It's almost like he's not seeing things clearly, or he's not maybe playing as fast as he was a year ago.
It's unfortunate you say that. You're right. But there's also a play in the fourth quarter where Minnesota deflects a pass at the line, of which, if it's not deflected, that's 75 yards the other way, and
correct.
That game flips on its head. So there's
social media is on fire for Coy Perich, even though he hasn't really done anything all season, correct. Right? That would be the headline. You're totally right. And then the next punt was the one that he tried to pick up. Honestly, I mean, you listen to Fleck post game basically saying, like, we have standards and we have rules, and if you want to go off and do your own thing, that's going to happen. I thought it was pretty frontal, quite frankly, but he's not wrong. I mean, to fair catch a punt at the 2, that just shows me you're not mentally locked in. Like, sorry, like we all love Coy, and he's obviously an unbelievable talent, and they need him to play well. But to fair catch it at the 2, you're not paying attention. To try to scoop it up, first of all, I don't know why they moved him back from the 15 to the 10. I'm standing right there as they're going through all of that, and he's standing at the 15. They tell him to go to the 10, and if it goes over your head, you let it go.
In this scenario, the punt return coach, Matt Simon?
Yes.
Okay.
And so then you're sitting there, and where's the punt land? Like the 16? Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, he didn't get any help there, but also, what are you doing? Like, you're not. So that's what's frustrating, is like, I don't think it's because I know there's a thing of, well, he's playing offense and he's doing this and it's too much. I really don't think so. I really don't think it's because it's too much and he's burned out. I mean, he's barely playing on offense, right? I'm sure you have the snap counts, Burnsy. I just think you're at a point where, you're not Nesco anymore. Like, there is a different level now. Like, as great as he was a year ago, just going out there and making plays, like, there are details you got to pay attention to, and there are things within a scheme that you kind of have to roll with. And obviously the return thing, I mean, they took him off the return for one, right? Mm-hmm. They put Logan Loya back there.
Which was fascinating to see him get pulled only for one punt to then put him back out there. What was the point of that? That one, I was scratching my head in the press box thinking, what did he learn being off one punt mid-game to then put him back out there?
I will say this. I've been thinking about this too. Confidence is a great thing until it interferes with decision making. And to me, it feels like, particularly those punts and the last one, it was, I'm going to go make a play for my team, even if it's the wrong thing to do. Mm-hmm. And you talk about looking into the backfield. Is he looking to try to jump a route where he needs to be more disciplined in what he's doing? And we become so enamored with splash plays and game change. And it's a fine line. It's like, let those things happen organically versus getting outside your rules or the different things. And I do wonder if he's drifting too far over into, I got to make a play. I got to pick this bouncing ball up. I've got to, jump this route. I got to see what the quarterback's going and run over there and make an interception. And I'm not fall on the keys or whatever I'm supposed to be doing. I think there might be a little bit of that going on.
Yeah, and it happens. By the way, I mean, Tyler Nubin did that his entire senior season.
Yes,
Right?
yes,
I
yes.
mean,
Infuriating at times to watch.
the guy who has the most interceptions ever, who made 1 million plays in his career, like and same thing. Everybody loves Tyler. He's one of the all-time greats. He spent the whole year trying to do his own thing.
Wasn't there one at Northwestern?
And I was surrounded by
Northwestern,
and then I was surrounded by 10 engineering students from Northwestern on the field in the middle of the night in Evanston because they just given up a 21-point lead. Like, you can't even call it a field storming because there was only like a dozen of them down
gathering.
there.
It was a gathering.
Yeah, it was a small gathering. It was like a vigil. It was like a Northwestern vigil out there. It's just a small group. So he's not the first great player to get burned a little bit. And so, but now let's see how he, to use the PJ Fleck term, let's see how he responds and how they bring it back together. And because obviously he's an unbelievable talent and a great player, and I would still bet on him, making the play 90% of the time. It's just for whatever the reason, and you look at the first game, no one did anything towards him. They didn't allow him to catch a punt, right, with anything to do. I doubt they threw his way very often. Talking about Buffalo, Burns' guy, Pete Lembo, they weren't going to let Coy Perich ruin that game. So there's that part of it too. But I could even sense in that game he was getting antsy. Like, I got to do something here. Like, I'm used to having a big impact when. And PJ even talked about it, I think, on the TV show. It must have been the TV show last week. They put up a graphic, and I think this had a lot to do with Coy not having the numbers that he wanted to, or even Anthony Smith. Was that, guys that have good freshman seasons, and he went through in the Big Ten. George Karlaftis was one of them. Like, that typically is their best season numbers-wise. How come? Because everybody else knows about you now.
Because you're the top of the game plan.
Exactly.
Every week, you're the first guy. How's this guy not going to beat us?
Exactly. So you can still have an impact on the game, just not necessarily statistically. And I even joked with PJ. I remember we talked about it on this podcast. They had 3 people on George Karlaftis.
Yes, I remember that game. Yes.
I mean, it was incredible. It was just, and you guys know, I don't know schemes. I'm not Daniel House. I don't have a database behind me here. I have posters, right? I don't have a database of a bunch of numbers where I can tell you, percentages and all that. But I can tell when they're paying close attention to one guy, and I'm not joking. I haven't seen it before. I haven't seen it since. They had 3 guys blocking George Karlaftis like on 50% of the plays. 2 of them the whole time. Their thing was he's not going to ruin the game.
Yeah.
And the Gophers won that game because George Karlaftis didn't ruin it. He's a great player. So I think there's that pull right now too for Coy, is that he's used to having a huge impact, but other teams aren't just going to say, "Go ahead, you go ahead and ruin this game for us."
Well, that's. I mean, how many fair catches did he have to catch against Buffalo? And he's going to have a bunch of fair catches
you
this year.
You can see his body language.
They're going to sky it.
Being able to make a play there.
And so guess what? When he sees one bouncing, he's probably thinking, "I'm going to pick it up and run with it because I haven't had many chance to do something here." And it's like discretion. I mean, you gotta. It's wonderful to have that confidence and have that ability, but it has to be some discretion and understand game sequence and what's the right thing. And so, and let's be honest, I mean, he's still a young player. I mean,
right.
It's I mean, and I know there's been talk, let's not anoint him and all that. And it did get a little carried away, obviously, probably. But I think for him, it's about figuring out how he can make his impact if it's not splash plays that he's used to making, these game-turning plays. And yes, that's what that's his reputation. Man, he makes these highlight plays. Well, if they're not there, you don't have to force it trying to make them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And he's been close on a couple kickoffs too. I mean, he's been a shoelace away.
Yeah.
From a really good, so it's I'm sure he's never had a stretch like this where he's just gone 3 games and not made some crazy play, and certainly not cataclysmic plays, right? I doubt he's had big plays that have completely cost a game. And that was, I mean, I'd have to go through and think about it. Like, the air came out so fast when that play happened, right? Because the defense got to stop. You're going to get the ball back with 7-ish minutes left, something like that.
17-14, Cal offense gets the ball back with 8 minutes left.
Yes, and I'm thinking too, like, it'd be a good time for a Coy return. And by the way, if he was at the 15, that was a returnable kick. Like, yes. It was not a great punt. Like, there wasn't great hang time. Like, he would have had room to catch it and run. And so it's just, But if the air could just come out of the balloon any faster, I don't see it. It was just, and everyone's just standing there, and PJ's looking around, and everybody's like, "Oh my, I can't believe that happened," because it is stunning to see a guy like him make that kind of mistake.
The first bounce is Chip's pitching wedge, and the second bounce is my tee shot where I scull it 4 yards into the next. Yeah, you just can't.
Yeah.
Fleck talked about it with us media jackals afterwards, even though I was told on social media we don't ask the tough questions, boys. So I'm going to have to pour some of this 40-ounce out.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. I love the
he's sitting on that one
grievances.
for 30 minutes.
I love the Burnsy grievances.
It's my life.
You know my philosophy. Stop reading Twitter and taking it to heart.
Yeah,
I know you can't stop reading, but don't take it to heart.
When you yell Peter, and I'm sure there's plenty of high school football coaches or former football players listening to this, get the F away from the football. And you could see it on that first bounce in Coy's head. If this bounces like that again, which it seems like he's anticipating, I'm going to make a play. Yeah. Except he gets my scald tee shot off the 14th at Oak Marsh. It can't happen. And the game flips and the game's over when it's a 2-score game at that point.
How was Fleck post-game with you, Burnsy? What stood out to you and what he had to say?
Felt like he was a bit despondent and didn't anticipate that. The SID Paul Rovnak goes, opening statement, and Fleck looks at him, do I have to?
Yeah.
I'm sure
the last 20 minutes.
It was a poor performance.
They imploded. Offensively, defensively, special teams, coaching decisions. I mean, offensively, 3rd and 7. We've seen that play call how many times in 9 years?
And particularly with you're down to your third tailback.
Yeah.
And even if it's Darius Taylor's in there, I don't like it. I mean, I trust this quarterback more. Now, we can talk about the receiving core. They got to get more from that group. I mean,
that's the thing with the offense is if we're just going to look at it holistically, and I wrote about this yesterday on Gopher Illustrated, is their disparity between actual points on the board versus total yards is something right now.
Yeah.
They are putting up the second most total yards per game of any Fleck offense not named 2019 against FBS opponents. I took Northwestern, stay out of that. And I understand a 2-game sample size is not very big, but it is what it is. Yet they're only averaging 18 points per game. Why? They have 9 different drives that have got into the opponent territory against Buffalo and Cal that resulted in 0 points. That is either incredibly bad luck, bad coaching, somewhere in between. There's an interception off the bottom of a foot. There's the 16-play drive that ends the game. There's a few punts. There's a little bit of everything, but they're moving the ball. They just have no points to show for it.
Right.
The incredibly frustrating part about this is that 3rd and 7 run. I went back and watched the game. That is the same exact run that Femi Ijiboye breaks off for 27 yards. Same exact play, formation, 2 tight ends to the left. Greg Johnson, just for whatever reason on that play, doesn't go to the right. It's zone right. If he zones right, he catches the linebacker, and that's at least positive yards. But I know no one wants to hear that because it's the 30,000-foot view of why are they running the ball on 3rd and 7 from the Cal 30, and I understand that completely, guys.
And particularly, and you had the stat, it's not like you have a kicker that's automatic from 40 out. I mean,
He's now 3 of 10 in his collegiate career from 40-plus yards.
And that's the
thing.
I
was told coming into the season to not worry about it. So that's
if you think yeah, that's right. If you think Fleck doesn't know that, why are you playing for a long field goal?
That is
Well, I don't think
you're asking some of the best questions I've ever heard.
Hold on, though. I don't think he was. I think because he's done this in the
territory. Was
yes. I think that I honestly, because that's how he's explained it before, right? He has said multiple times, I'm giving him 2. I want you to go get half of it, and then we'll go get half of it, because he knows the same thing about the kicker. Here's my problem with it, because earlier in the drive, 3rd and 5, they gave it to Femi and he got 8, right? And I know 5 is different than 7, so that's probably in their mind. Ijiboye was having a good game. Ijiboye wasn't the ball carrier at that point. And and he was the play before, and I think picked up 3 yards. That was Cam Davis. So don't look all like this.
Yeah.
It was Cam Davis, Burnsy.
Yeah.
Go ahead and look at the play-by-play.
I will.
It was Cam Davis.
He's going to do the.
I can tell you
double
don't
check
trust
your
me.
math.
I can tell you don't trust me, but that's what because I don't, of all the backs that they've played, he's the one that I don't think has, I don't think he should be getting the ball in that spot. No disrespect to him. If it's Darius, maybe, if it's, maybe even AJ, and the way Femi was running the ball, I wouldn't have hated it, especially because PJ, I'm not defending it. I'm just saying in PJ's mind, I'm sure he's thinking we're going to get 2 or 3 here. Then it's 4th and 5. It's a 28. We're probably going to, or we're kicking a 45
If it's 4th and 5, he's kicking the field goal.
Or we're going, you know what I mean, though? I do think.
But don't you think, as much as they like the quarterback, don't you think you give him a shot there? I don't, for the life of me, understand it. I like this quarterback. I trust him. I think he can make plays. And
just throw to Brockington, the one receiver that was really
Brockington.
clicking.
Yeah, I mean, good for Lemecki. Or Gears. Or, I just I just don't understand the mindset. I really don't.
So what's the tweak for the offense? Because I mentioned they're putting up total yards. They're also converting over 50% of their third downs, which is really good. They just have no points. And that leads us into Darius Taylor being ruled out. We don't have a timeline. So I'm going to give you some hypotheticals here for you guys to chew on, plus the listeners. Mm-hmm. Last year, when we were at the open practice and he tweaked his left hamstring, I will remind people this is his right hamstring this year. But last year, he missed 25 days in between the moment he was injured to when he returned against Rhode Island. Then he played the next 12 consecutive games. In 2023, when he tweaked something in his lower body against Northwestern, he missed 28 days. Returned for Iowa, missed the rest of the season, so that was 35 days. Now you look at the timeline potentially, if this is somewhere in between, or if it's better, if it's worse. Flex said they got a very positive diagnosis after the game. We'll find out if that's true. But Rutgers is 21 days since his injury. Ohio State's 28, Purdue's 35. Which game do you think we see Darius Taylor return? He did not warm up before this game. He was in sweats the whole time, which tells me I don't know that they necessarily want him to start pushing things yet. But which game do you think we see the return of Darius Taylor?
Purdue.
I would say Purdue.
I think you're both right. If there is any part of you that thinks he's not 100% for Ohio State, under no circumstances do you play him.
Which is too bad.
Yeah.
Which also means I don't think the news on AJ Turner is going to be very good when we hear anything. I mean, Guards, you were the one who you saw it like I did.
Was it knee, guys?
I would think so. I would assume. Yeah. I mean, he could barely get off the field
on his left leg.
Yeah. Crutches
angry
after.
Running back overlord is back for the third straight odd season where you're on RB3, which means you got to feature Femi Ejeboy, who forced, I believe it was 9 missed tackles on 17 carries, which is very good.
Yeah.
The issue is, where are your other playmakers right now?
Well, that was, I mean, it was nice to see Brockington show up, but I mean, I was looking at stats today. 3 games, Javon Tracy, 6 catches. Logan Loya, 3 games, 3 catches. I mean,
you're going to get me going about the whole match.
Yeah, I know game 2. Let's take that out. So there's 2 games.
Fact is, like 62 guys have receptions this season.
Yeah,
because of how the ball's been spread around. Like I'm pretty sure I caught a couple of balls against Northwestern State.
Yeah. We'll take that because I said that game doesn't matter. But I think it's still they need to get those guys are going to have to be prominent, right? I mean,
we haven't even mentioned Jalen Smith.
Jalen Smith is
Burnsy's guy. He's got to, he's going through some freshman stuff here.
Yeah, I mean, the game's probably a little bit fast for him right now, and it looked fast that first game where,
And it looked fast on Saturday night. The question is, are you going to count on Lemecki Brockington having a career game now going forward? He had never caught more than 2 passes in a game, nor surpassed 55 yards in a game before Saturday night, and he played great.
This needs to be his Elijah Spencer moment. Like he needs to have that type of season where
this offense needs someone to catch a pass from Drake Lindsey. The thing I would say is Drake Lindsey, and it's great that we're now 35 minutes into the podcast and we're not talking about bad quarterback play for the amount of years this trio has covered Gopher football.
And coming off of the Vikings game on Sunday night.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Taking a quarterback detox, but go ahead.
Yeah.
It feels like every throw from Drake has to be perfect because of either the lack of separation, Jalen Smith battling drop still, which I can ask both of the two of you. Do you cut his snaps to try and mitigate that, which could potentially destroy a young player's confidence, or do you let him work through it at this point?
Well, who are you replacing him with?
That's
the
it.
third, that's the third part of the
Logan
question.
Loya, because Jalen Smith only plays outside, and Logan Loya is a slot receiver.
Okay.
You'd be replacing him with either Javon Tracy or Kenrick Lanier, who just runs wind sprints at this point.
Yeah. I think he has to work through it. And I think, to me, and I'm not an expert on wide receiver play, but it feels like the game is fast for him right here, and he's sped up, and it's,
And it's his first few games. Not everybody's going to be Drake Lindsay and come out not being worried about this. He's a redshirt freshman. I understand it.
Right.
The kid has talent. I think
he'll answer here.
Yeah, I think he'll settle down, figure it out. I don't really worry. I think you keep playing him and keep giving him opportunities. But
I agree.
These I mean, you see it better than I, Burnsy, but it didn't seem like there's a ton of separation. And I didn't get to see the field view. I was watching on TV, but I just didn't see a lot of separation there.
There wasn't. And Javon Tracy drew a couple of PIs, which maybe would have been catches. Instead, they were free first downs.
Yep.
But that's the thing I want to find out about this team against Rutgers is the Fighting Rob Smiths, of which I cannot wait for Narrative Street. I'm going to have so many different things in the background to annoy Guardsy.
Oh, my gosh.
They're not a great defense.
Right.
Minnesota is also going to likely be down their top two running backs, and their pass catchers have struggled to catch the ball consistently. Or even when they do catch it, it's a double clutch. I think about a swing pass to the running back where if he catches it clean, it's a 5-6 yard game. Instead, it's a loss. Or even the Coy Perich trick play.
Oh, we didn't even talk about that.
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about that.
He doesn't
didn't love
catch
that
it
one
clean.
either.
He double clutches it, and then he panics, and he runs backwards. If he just catches it clean, the play isn't there for what it's worth. But if he just catches it clean and runs forward, he's at least back at the line of scrimmage. But because he doesn't catch it clean, he panics.
Well, and trick plays are one of those things that they work. We all celebrate. If they don't, what the hell did you do that for?
It's a 5th percentile outcome, or it's a 95th percentile outcome.
But it just, to me, it felt like they finally started getting some rhythm going. Yeah, they were rolling. They were rolling, and then you throw that in there. It's like it killed the drive. It's like, really now?
Yeah, that was tough. That was tough. And by the way, Coy too. You're not going to sneak Coy onto the field.
No.
Like you saw whoever tackled him, the safety or the linebacker, the second he got it was shot out of the cannon that they have on that hill that went off. I mean, he was like, you could tell when Coy's on the field, everybody knows.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing where I didn't love it about.
Well, 2 plays before, they ran the exact same motion, the exact same type of thing, and Coy Perich caught a 20-yard pass.
Right.
So it was the same look. They got zone coverage. The guy, I just think Coy didn't catch it clean, and instead of catching the ball and either being an athlete and running, or he could have thrown it away.
Right.
Chip's point. It went horrifically in a horrific spot. And I gave you the stat earlier that 9 different drives into opponent territory have ended in 0 points. Backs you up out of field goal range, and you get 0 points there. So
and that's how
absolutely horrible for Harbaugh.
Moving the ball really well, you found something, and then kind of a self-inflicted thing that puts you back, and that's why you lose.
Right. What the kicker? Like, is this
had the leg, like you said, Burns? You've been saying the whole time he's got the leg.
Where is it going?
It's just a little bit sporadic.
3 of 10 in his career. I mean, that's.
And he looked good in the first 2 games from within 40 yards. And that's not my question with him. It's for a coach who loves 40-plus yard field goals. No team attempted more 40-plus yard field goals in the Big Ten last year than the University of Minnesota Golden Gophers.
Well, I understand that. I mean, Kesich could bang it from there.
Yeah.
He didn't have as good a year as he did 2 years ago, but he had the leg.
The thing that I want to see Fleck and Harbaugh adapt on, or at least Fleck specifically here, because it starts with him, is you can't have that same mindset anymore. You have to be more aggressive because your kicker just isn't there this year. And this would be the hope of Fleck said it about Coy Perich after the game. touch the stove and you got to find out. Well, PJ, you don't have the kicker that you once had. So you touch the stove against Cal. Can we not see these same type of offensive philosophy type of mistakes in year 9 with this specific team, please?
Hey, boys, a quick aside. Guard, you mentioned the cannon there. Beautiful setting for college football, wasn't it?
Oh.
Did you love it? Yeah. How great is it? I told you guys would love it. It's kind of just picturesque over there. Yeah.
Yes. I want to be the people on the hill that just hang out there. They've been doing it since the first game in the stadium in like the 1920s.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, Bay Area is such a pain. I don't know how people live there.
It's not convenient.
Nothing is convenient.
The last
like
thing it is.
Yeah. It takes forever to do anything.
Yeah.
And everything's super expensive. So I guess you just lose track of it because you're in the mountains.
Yeah,
you're in the mountains and everything looks great. Like, yeah, it was cool. I like this. We're lucky to have Huntington Bank Stadium because everything just kind of fits where it fits, and it's an easy place to work. And I think for fans, it's pretty easy to get around. I haven't been to a game in 15 years as a fan. Good for me. But the old stadiums, when you've got to find ways to make club sections, and they've got risers in this thing with random wood tables to try. I kind of like the charm of all of those. But yeah, in that hill, I mean, that hill was made from the dirt that they used when they excavated for the stadium, and they just had to push it to the side. And those people were there for 5 hours.
Yeah.
They were like Chip Scoggins early. They were sitting there the whole time. But yeah, it was very cool. It was
I love going to cool stadiums that you've never been to before and just kind of see how.
Exactly right.
That's what's so great. It's and not all NFL stadiums are cookie cutter, obviously, but I just love different. There's just things that make in college football, college towns, the setting, unique things between the hedges at Georgia, whatever, the river at Tennessee. I mean, I love seeing the different.
Everybody's got something.
I love the different features that makes it that that this is ours,
Exactly right. And that cannon is a big part of it. I was talking with Mark Coyle on the pregame show when they tested it. That was an interesting moment. They're like, okay.
The loudest. I dang near had an aneurysm.
Well, can we give a heads up? I mean, can you say, hey, by the way, we're about to explode this cannon, just in case anybody's wondering, let's give a little bit of a heads up. Didn't get that. That was fine. But yeah, it was cool. And I always love too the press box pictures or the pictures around. They've got Jared Goff and Aaron Rodgers. Obviously both Cal guys. You've got Marshawn Lynch. You've got Javid Best. You've got the Rose Bowl teams in the 40s and the 50s. That stuff is cool. If you do like college football, which we all do, in fact that you can see Alcatraz and the Golden Gate Bridge from different areas of the press box and look out because you are up on a hill.
Yeah,
it was great, and it was a great Gopher crowd too. I thought Burnsy. They had, their one section was full, and then they were pretty much scattered throughout the stadium. I was talking to people all over the place on the road sideline because there were a lot of Gopher fans. So unfortunately, they didn't have much fun outside of maybe the night before and the day after.
Yeah, now it's where do they go from here with Rutgers coming to town, and you've still got some cool venues coming ahead for Gopher fans to travel to, which I had a few fans ask me, do you think this is going to be the destination of which people go to?
No, Oregon.
Or is it going to be Wrigley Field, which is very convenient for so many people here in the Midwest? And that's the beauty of this schedule is you've got some different places to go see that aren't, say, West Lafayette, Indiana.
And I'm not going, unfortunately, but I'm disappointed the Oregon game's a Friday night, not Saturday. I think that might affect some travel too.
Some people actually have told us they like it better because then
really? Okay.
They're like, we were going out Thursday anyway, and now we're going to have the whole weekend to go do whatever we want after. I mean,
I guess that makes sense.
You can find it one way or the other, right? I mean, you can figure it out one way or the other. I've heard a lot of I think it was Coyle even saying he goes, it doesn't appear to us that people are choosing which road trips. He's like, we're getting people making a lot of them.
Doing all of them, yeah.
Yeah, which I think, or at least a couple of them, so good for them. That's great. It should be fun. Anything else from the game you want to talk about before we pause and go around the Big Ten and talk about Burnsy and me and the efforts we made for the KFAN listeners on Sunday morning, which I don't think were properly appreciated. Anything else about the Gophers? Darcy. All right, let's talk about Jack's Cafe. It is brunch season for sure, although today it's 92 degrees. But you know what? maybe Bill will let you jump into the lake. I don't know, or the river, the babbling brook in the back on the patio. But you do have, probably a month or two left to take advantage of one of the best patios in the Twin Cities. And we know some of the best food in the Twin Cities as well, whether it is brunch, whether it's lunch, whether it's dinner, if it's a date night, happy hour. Jack's Cafe has been a great partner of ours for a long time out in Berkeley. Had a couple of people, actually a couple of guys on the sidelines that know Bill pretty well, said we're big Jack's Cafe people. We met at Jack's Cafe a few months ago. It was great. We love what Jack's has done for us, and we'd love, Chip, for people to support one of our great sponsors.
I love when people say we're Jack's people. How cool is that? Like, yeah, we're Jack's people. That's our spot. Yeah, well, let's find more Jack's people. And here's a challenge. I want somebody to celebrate their anniversary dinner there this week and send us a picture. It's a challenge. I'm issuing a challenge. This will post today, Tuesday, right? Let's see somebody by Sunday night send us a picture from an anniversary dinner.
I would say about the demographic we have, Chip, I don't know how many football people got married in the month of September. I know that was one of my deal breakers back when.
Yeah, you don't do it.
I love
by the way, if your anniversary is
If your anniversary's coming up, yeah, we're having some technical difficulties with guards.
Guards got cut off there, yeah. That's right. You can't get married. You don't get married in football season, but it doesn't mean it has to be your anniversary this week. If you're just saying, hey, we'll go out, sometime here.
Yep. I'm going there next week to celebrate my best man's birthday, and I'm looking forward to it immensely. I'm going to request a table out there on that beautiful patio here for hopefully at some point late September weather. But where should people go, Guardsy?
jackscafe.com, jaxcafe.com. And it'd be great if people would stop calling me while I'm trying to do this show. I'm having Chip Scoggins computer meltdowns pretty much all day today. Doing it on my phone. People keep calling me. It's kicking me off the StreamYard.
What's it like to be so popular all the time? Not all heroes wear capes. You tell me that all the time, Superman.
Yeah.
But
my oar is in the water today. My oar is in the water. I am surviving and advancing. All right, jackscafe.com. Make your reservations. jaxcafe.com. All right, should we talk Wisconsin or Iowa first?
Wisconsin.
Their defense is not bad. Their defense, I watched a fair amount of that game. Burnsy, I know you did too. Chip, you might have been taking a nap because it was, you'd gotten back late from Wadena. But their defense isn't bad. Their offense, not great. They're down a quarterback again. And Alabama just kind of leaned on them for a while, and then kind of like last year, the floodgates just kind of opened up. Their quarterback threw a bad pick in the first half, when the game was still kind of close. Their defense might be able to keep them in some games, but again, it just goes back to if they don't beat Maryland at Camp Randall on Saturday, I don't know where their next victory is coming from.
Yeah, and they're do we know how long the quarterback's down?
I think he's supposed to be back here within the next week or two.
Yeah, it's imminent. So it's within the next few weeks. Yeah,
it's going to be tough for that team to score much without your starting quarterback, and obviously when you're a really good team. But yeah, I mean, you would think a Fickle defense would be pretty good, right? I mean, I didn't get to see.
They've got some big guys up front. I mean, really big guys. Like Alabama was having trouble running on them, for the first quarter and a half.
They're going to have to win a certain way. Yeah.
Yeah. The question is, how long can that defense hold up? I mean, in that game, the Alabama quarterback was unconscious. He was throwing darts the entire time, and Alabama's skill position is still Alabama's skill position, and they put that thing away. But the thing for Wisconsin, for me, isn't necessarily even going to be the offense. It's how long can their defense hold up being on the field all the time? Because you look at that schedule coming up, and I'll pose the question to you two. You've got Maryland this weekend. And then how many games after that, and I'll list the remaining 8 games.
I'm looking.
Will they be favored in? And so for the listeners who don't have them in front of it, after this weekend where they host Maryland, they're on the road at number 21 Michigan, home against Iowa, home versus number 1 Ohio State, on the road at Oregon, home against Washington, on the road against number 19 Indiana, home against the Fighting Brett Bielema's, who are the 9th-ranked team in the country, and then they come to Huntington Bank Stadium to end the season.
Washington would be the only one.
Maybe Minnesota, if Minnesota falls off the cliff.
I'd say the over-under is 1.5.
Yeah, and the thing is, and you guys know, just physically, where are they going to be by the end of the season?
That's my question.
All those good teams, you're going to get
worn down. Be on the field for 70 snaps a game for the next 9 games.
I mean,
I don't care how
hard to
good your
play that
defense
mean
is at that point. You are going to get worn down very quickly.
That's as brutal a schedule as I can remember a team having.
It's the most we talked about it in the offseason. It's probably the most difficult one in the Big Ten, and certainly one of the most difficult ones in college football.
For
As
a
I sit here
program that
today,
needed a break, for a program
Yeah.
that's been looking for some good news, trying to get the Luke Fickell era going here. I mean, like I say, I know Maryland's always kind of a wild card. They really haven't played anybody. They beat Towson 44-17 last weekend. Northern Illinois and I guess FAU, Florida Atlantic. So this is really their first test. Alabama, you can at least say, or Wisconsin, you can at least say has had to up the ante a little bit and get themselves ready. But this is it's a big game for them.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, I mean,
There's
it's
so many teams in the Big Ten, I would argue, we still don't know anything about. I mean,
Right.
Minnesota has been tested one time and they didn't play well in it. And this will be essentially the first time we get to see Maryland tested. We'll see Wisconsin's second test. I think there's so much, as we sit here on September 16th, we don't know yet, which is exciting and also frustrating to try and cover, because you're trying to, as Chip would say, prognosticate into the future.
yeah. Well,
I'm still trying to learn.
And I heard our friend Mace on with you and Barrero, and he said just as he's looked at this at the Big Ten early on, he's like, he doesn't know how many good teams there are, and I think that's still to be determined, because it's just you get so little sense when you're playing some of these non-conference games that they do,
And so many things are new.
and they're new and
changes.
New. Yeah, and even like. We think Buffalo's a pretty good MAC team, but they really struggled against Kent State. That's a game they could have lost. So it's like, I don't know. Until you get into the Big Ten and you start playing like teams, it's hard to really get what each team is.
Mm-hmm.
Wisconsin 9.5-point favorites according to ESPN Bet. That's what I've got up right now. 9.5-point favorites. Tickets as low as $25 if anybody wants to go over there for the 11 o'clock kick. Do a little scouting for the game after Thanksgiving. Kirk Ferentz, congratulations. Passes Woody Hayes, and that record will live forever, right? There's just no way anywhere that someone is coaching for 27 years, 26 years, whatever it is. They took a deep shot right away. Basically be like, we can do this.
There's your deep shot.
Yeah, we can do it. Mark Gronowski can make that throw. They hit it. UMass with Burnsy's guy, Joe Harris-Simiak, obviously a program in transition. But cool moment, I thought, after the game, to have Ferentz pipe through the entire Kinnick Stadium and one of his former players, Anthony Herron, doing the interview, and then he did the swarm with the team. Like, whatever you think of Iowa, and I know I hear it every week, you all hate Iowa. We hate Iowa, which is, by the way, the dumbest cheer in college sports.
Yeah.
Go ahead and email me. That's a hell of a run, man. That's a hell of a run, and it's – I just think you should have a general appreciation in 2025 for what has gone on down there since 1978 or whenever Hayden Fry got there. It's incredible.
Yes, I was thinking about this because I have great respect for Kirk Ferentz. And when I was on the beat many, many years ago, and we'd have that Big Ten media day at the Hilton there, we'd be in the ballroom. There's Barry Alvarez and Lloyd Carr, Joe Paterno, Mason, Kirk Ferentz. I mean, he's still there and coaching, and it feels like a lifetime ago. And I always loved sitting at his table because I thought very personable. You had great conversations, had a good sense about just the game and not just this program, but just like college sports in general. I heard Grimmer talk to TJ Hawkinson in the locker room the other night, asking him about him, and he had some,
Of course he did.
Some really cool
Grimmer
stuff.
stringing for the Iowa Sports Network.
I know,
for his main job. Yeah.
But PJ talks about it, the cultural sustainability to be able to weather the bad years they have and the bad offenses they have and still keep winning 8-9 games because you have a formula, you have a model, you stick with it, you don't change, you don't, think about how many different versions of college football that he's had to navigate in his career.
Right.
So many.
I mean, just how the sport and how his, universe has changed in that time, and he still managed to, And I'm sure there's been how many years where fans have wanted him gone.
Yeah,
Burns
there's been a few. I mean, he was definitely saved by his own buyout a few times back in the day.
Sure.
You know, which I've always said, even talking about the Fickle thing, you know, it's like, it's okay to let a good coach find his way out of it. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to get crazy and go, it's stale, it's done, it's over. It's okay to have some ebbs and flows. I always say Barry Alvarez, after his first Rose Bowl, went 7-6 or 6-7 a couple of times, right? Like, you don't just get to 9 or 10 wins and just stay there forever.
Yeah.
That's not how it works, especially now in the new Big Ten with 52 teams and everybody's got their foot on the gas.
Yeah.
And now we'll get to learn a lot more about them. I think they have a road game on Friday night against Rutgers. You know, that will be, obviously, Gopher fans are interested. You play both of them, of course. You play Rutgers next weekend. Gophers are on a bye. But that's going to be an interesting one to see kind of what's real about both of these teams, Burnsy.
We get to learn something, and I'm all for learning anything about these teams at that point. But I don't know that I have much more to echo than I don't know that you'll see Kirk Ferentz's record now broke because of the lack of patience that exists in the world, and certainly the world of college football these days.
Right.
And I almost am operating under the assumption now that this might be Kirk Ferentz's last year with the way that things have kind of gone down there. So he is someone that I don't know that you'll see again here in college football. And I know it's Iowa, but it makes you appreciate things like that.
What's his age? Did you Google it? How old is Kirk?
Burnsy will Google it. My favorite part was when Heron asked him about, he's passing, Woody, and he's passed Bo, and you like Alonzo Staggs in there, and he's naming the names, and Kirk's like, yeah, that's kind of the part I'm having trouble with, or I'm paraphrasing. He's like, that's the part that's like doesn't make sense, just this kid from Pittsburgh.
One thing he does I love, if you read our friend Scott Docterman, his piece on kind of his legacy is great, and I know Ferentz and his wife had given millions to the Children's Hospital down there in the Wave is the coolest thing in college football. But then when he does his opening, his Tuesday press conference or Monday, whenever he does it, goes through opponent, blah, blah. And then he has the MVP, the kid MVP from some kid from it's like clockwork. Here's our game or our captain, our game captain. It talks about that kid and the challenges. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I find it, as a parent, I think things like that show you that he's a classy guy.
And just knowing, obviously I have a lot of family in Iowa that have had players from the high schools go, and when he comes into school, just how he handles the recruiting, just how he's very well liked in the athletic department, which I think says a lot. That's not always the case with a football coach. Yeah. So anyway, given that we just had 2 coaches fired this week in like year three, right, or year 2 for Deshaun Foster,
we'll get to
right?
The Deshaun Foster stuff here in a
second. And I get it. Not every coach is great, and some coaches shouldn't run programs, but it's okay to let a guy kind of find his way out of it and navigate. I talked about that with Greg Gard at Wisconsin, the last couple of years. Like, there's a lot of Wisconsin fans that, he only won with Bo's players and this and that. It's like, again, not every year is Sam Decker and Frank Kaminsky going to pull up and you're going to be, 10 minutes from a national championship. Like, that's just not how it works as much as you think it should. Let a guy go through, and Greg Gard.
Too much reason.
Yeah, they were really good, right? They had I know Wisconsin, they didn't make the Sweet 16 or anything, and that's one of the things that they're mad about, but it's like, I don't know. I mean, I might not be cut out for this college sports world anymore. I'm too calm.
Yeah.
Some big games this weekend.
70, by the way. Just turned 70 in August.
All right.
Deshaun Foster?
No, hold on. Well, you want to? Let's spend 30 seconds each. Michigan at Nebraska this weekend. Big game, right? Mm-hmm. People, by the way, they're going crazy about Matt Rule's halftime speech a couple of weeks ago when they're up like 50-0, and he's mad because the other team, moved the ball on him. And leader of men. You guys know I love Matt Rule. Every coach in the country gives that same speech. Yeah. When you're both, do you think that PJ Fleck went in against Northwestern State and said, "All right, 1s, you're good, 2s, whatever the hell you want," like they all every single coach gives the Matt Rule speech. I thought way too much was made about that. Yeah. Every coach says, we don't care about the opponent. We care about us. We're keeping the pedal down, blah, 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 blah. And Rule's a stud, but come on, what are we doing? Like, can we try a little less hard? But I like Nebraska in this one. Michigan's favored by 2.5, and I know their quarterback bounced back. Underwood played better than he did a week ago against Oklahoma. But this is I talked about the Friday night game when Nebraska comes here. It's not unfeasible that Nebraska could be undefeated, and this game at home was a big reason why I thought that.
Yeah, 3-0, and this is kind of one of those for a new coach that's building something or trying to rebuild. This is kind of one of those measuring stick games. Are we really there? Are we really ready to take that next step? And so this will be. I'm sure the atmosphere will be great there. But 3-0. See if they stay 4-0.
Burnsy, if Nebraska wins, will they be ranked in the top 10, even though they're out of the top 25 right now, or will they have to just settle for like 15 or 16?
I think they're going to have to settle for about 12 or 13. I want to see if Bryce Underwood, the Michigan true freshman quarterback, if they run him as much as they did last week, which was an underrated part of, I think, his game coming out, and one that didn't show as much against Oklahoma. And how much did Underwood learn from Oklahoma experience, where that is going to be a crazy environment for him to walk into. But if he plays well, we've seen Nebraska in one possession games for how many years? And with this being, what'd you say, a 2.5 point?
Yep.
Let's see who makes the plays in the third and fourth quarter. I know we'll have it on.
Illinois at Indiana. The first time these two teams have played each other ranked since 1950.
Wow.
Illinois is ninth.
I'm going to fight in Bielema's.
I think I am too. And honestly, I'm pulling for it. I'm pulling for it. And it's in Bloomington, 6:30 on NBC, the primetime game this week.
That's the prime. Illinois and Indiana is the primetime game.
Welcome to 2025.
This is it.
But it does show you
it's
that's
possible.
What's cool. Yes, that's what's cool about this. You can be, to use PJ's phrase, delusional. Yeah. That you can put yourself in these, and given how there's so many good teams in the Big Ten, you're going to have, to have a week 4 top 20 matchup with two teams you don't think about very often.
Illinois is what, 9 this? Are they 9 this week? Are they 9 this week, Illinois?
Yes, they're 9. Indiana's 19.
I'm going to go with the Signettis is what I'm going to do.
Are you? They're 4.5 point favorites according to ESPN.
I know that they also just lost a running back this week, but this is also two teams with, people don't think this way, but I'll remind them, these two teams got a lot of bleeping money.
Yeah.
Illinois just got a $100 million donation, and Indiana, Indiana's got money. So I'm glad to hear that both of them are seeing some return on their investment, but give me the Fighting Signettis. Come on, baby.
I always thought this, when I covered it, when Illinois was kind of going through the, just down period, you're so close to Chicago and St. Louis. Shouldn't you always be good if you're there? I know that's kind of an overstatement, but it's you're surrounded by talent. You just need to find the right person in that program because there's a ton of money, obviously.
Yeah.
In particularly Chicago and those kids coming down and alumni. But I just think we said a lot. I know Bielema, Gophers fans they're crazy about him because, when he's at Wisconsin. I think he's a damn good coach.
He's a great coach.
I like his personality. I think he's just a hard-nosed, physical program. So
he's a great coach.
I'm picking them.
How about this for Kevin Warren's dream? Michigan at Nebraska, 2:30 on CBS. Same time, Purdue at Notre Dame. Purdue, by the way, hung with USC for a little while. They're better. I don't think they're very good, but they're better. So you got the 2:30 window. Illinois, Indiana, 6:30. And then 10 o'clock Central on Fox, you've got Michigan State at USC.
Every window. Every window.
Why are you shaking your guys' heads? This is beautiful. I'm getting emotional how beautiful this is.
I still can't believe Michigan State agreed to play at 11 p.m. Eastern time.
Well, I don't think they agreed. I think they said, here's when your game is.
There was no agreement.
If you want to have those checks cashed, you got to do what you got to do.
Here's a TV window that you will be playing in.
Yeah. USC, by the way, 17.5 point favorites over Michigan State. That seems a little rich, doesn't it?
Well, we talked about last week that teams in the Big Ten last year who traveled 2 or more time zones were 6-22.
We just saw it Saturday night.
The Gophers not play well towards the end of it, they ran out of gas. I think the Vegas lines got a little bit baked into it, but maybe I got a little bit more faith in Michigan State's quarterback than they do.
We need a consensus, by the way. You would think the Big Ten, with all its money and the fact that they're making these teams go out, there needs to be some type of Big Ten protocol for what the actual best practices are to play well. Because as PJ said, he's we've done it 4 or 5 different ways. We haven't started very well, so we're doing something completely different. Like, I think it's just impossible because we just did the record. All of these teams are doing, the sleep studies, and we're talking to the doctors, and this is what we're going to do, and this is when you nap, and this is when you hydrate, and this is blue lights and all of this, and no one can go out there and play well. So what the hell is happening? I don't know. That's just me, because they clearly, the plan they used last week, they didn't start very well, right? In particular, they kind of got going in the middle of the game, and then, as Burnsy said, they didn't finish well. We're going to need more science, I think, because none of these teams are going out there and playing well. Not just the Gophers. No, we'll see how Michigan State holds up against the Fighting Trojans of USC. All right, Deshaun Foster, man,
gets boat raced by the pride of La Crosse, Wisconsin, Jason Eck, in the New Mexico. What are they, Lobos?
The Lobos.
If you lose by New Mexico in the Rose Bowl by 25 points to extend to 0-3 on the season, Chip, your boy Martin Jarman.
I know. It's that's as bad as it gets. Not only do you have to pay them a lot of money to come there, did you see that crowd? Look like a high school crowd.
Well, I think that crowd is why he was fired, not necessarily the result. Now, they go hand in hand, but the apathy within that program has just skyrocketed.
It's interesting, yeah. And obviously I know the AD at UCLA. I covered him as a high school athlete many years ago in North Carolina, and so I have great respect for my friend. But it's a mess, and as much as we love the Rose Bowl and how cool it is to go out there, it's a long way from campus in terms of driving. And
for sure.
Remember we went out there last year, I didn't see any students really. Like, it's not a thing. And when you have a bad program or a bad team on top of that, what's the incentive for kids to get on a bus or drive or whatever they have to do to get there? It's a tough situation. They took a gamble on a quarterback from Tennessee that has not panned out, obviously, right. And I can't even imagine how much they had to pay him. It's a mess, and I don't know. Obviously there was a conversation a couple years ago when Martin contacted PJ, expressed his interest. Obviously that Deshaun Foster was not the right hire there, but it was sort of, I don't know if it was a panic move or
I think it was
one of us. Yeah.
Well, Chip Kelly left him in January, right? Yeah. I mean, he left him pretty late in the whole deal to go be a coordinator at Ohio State. So that's tough.
Even though it's Big Ten and there's, the Big Ten money, do you think they get a sitting head coach from a smaller conference? I don't either. I think you're rolling the dice on a coordinator again.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think they have any money. And 2 years ago, the thing with Fleck was real. But I think I cannot see a world in which Fleck ends up at UCLA, because I know everybody wants to start those again. There's just no shot. UCLA, $50 million in the red over the last 5 years.
Right.
Now they got to pay somewhere between a $5 to $7 million buyout for Deshaun Foster. Depends if they negotiated it down or not. I also hate to say this about your boy Chip, but I think Martin Jarman is likely also going to get fired here. And that's another $7 million. So you're paying somewhere between $12 and $15 million to let people go. There's no way you can then afford to pay someone $8 million plus. There's just, where is the support financially for anything within that university right now?
What did you guys think about the Rose Bowl and how the distance it is from campus, though? Is that a hang-up for you guys?
Yes, it's a hang-up. I mean, the Metrodome was a hang-up for the Gophers, and that's a mile down the road, right? Not even that. No, I think it is a problem, but I don't know how that's fixable, because I don't remember a whole lot of undeveloped land in the Westwood Beverly Hills area that they could plop down their own 40,000 person stadium, right? Like, so I don't know.
They're looking at it as, if you get the right coach and build interest, and then they'll come no matter what the distance is. Yeah,
that's true. But
I also just think people in LA don't necessarily care that much about college football anymore. I mean, they used to back when Leinart and Reggie Bush were running around the Coliseum. But even USC has issues filling their stadium.
Right.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Right. And that one's on campus. I mean, that's next door.
There's just so many other things for people in LA to go do on a weekend than go to a college football game or even a UCLA game. If you're a student, to your point, Chip, it's so far away. You can do so many different other things. And so I don't know who they go get. I just don't think they have the money. I don't think this is going to be an awe-inspiring hire. I don't think it's a great job anymore.
Right. You're going to have to get a lot of assurances that we've either got money or money is coming, or because, I mean, you need money for everything, right? You need money for your head coach. The other problem, and this sounds silly, but I know it's true, it's hard to hire a staff too, because you've got to pay them so much just to live in LA.
Yeah.
Right. Like there's, I know a basketball coach at one point, part of the reason they took the job is their wife could, also do real estate, and they had a big house because of his wife. Yeah. Not necessarily like the coach, the Division I assistant coach, was essentially the second breadwinner, because that was the only way they could make Los Angeles at a close spot work. So there is a lot. You think LA, it should be easy, it should be great, everybody wants to live there. It's tough out there, man. It's really tough. Yeah. And yes, the Rose Bowl probably doesn't help being just that far. And I mean, we saw the game day atmosphere. It wasn't great. They did the best. Burnsy, you thought it was more like an NBA game with all the DJs and stuff, which I actually thought was cool, because you got to do something different.
Yeah, try something. Yeah.
You got to make it fun for people that are going to get on those buses and come all the way out there. But it's very difficult. So, yeah, I'll be curious who they hire, because it's a very tough job. And I don't know how I don't. And, like, if PJ wanted to go this time around, I'd say, all right, good luck, man. Like, hate to lose you. Everybody knows I like working with him, and I think he's done a really good job here. But that would be – I just don't see that as a step anymore, like I maybe did a while ago.
It's a worse job than it was 2 years ago, and UCLA has less money.
And you don't know what's going to happen with the AD. You don't know, are they going to let the AD stay and pick the next coach?
I don't think so.
Anything else we need to talk about? Before
I want to hear about your grievances about Sunday.
I want to hear about Sunday.
Well, first, give me your feedback, Burnsy, on, because I actually haven't. I did get a text from a person who will remain nameless, and I'm using my phone, so I can't pull it up to get verbatim exactly what he said. But it was at like 8:30 in the morning. I had just walked in my house. Like, why do you sound so, like, you sound terrible? What's the deal? This is at 8:30. I'm like, okay.
Friend.
So people might not know, I do a show on KFAN on Sunday mornings, most Sunday mornings, because we don't have one for a couple of weeks now, with no game this week, and then back-to-back Vikings games in Europe at 8:30. But it's from 8 to 9. It's called Gopher Football Sunday, and for many years now, Ryan Burns has joined me at 8:15. It's probably my favorite segment of the week on the Fan that we do. And it's at 8 o'clock, and there's some problems when you're playing a West Coast team at 9:30 Central of the fact that your plane might not land in time for the show. So rather, Chip, than just say everyone's out of luck, we kept our oar in the water and did a little pre-planning, and I said, I'm going to try to record some stuff before we leave, because then at least we have something.
Yeah. And
apparently nobody appreciated it, Burnsy, because all we got were complaints. What did you get? Before we talk about how we pulled it off.
So I showed up to bowling on Sunday night because I'm a middle-aged man in a 33-year-old's body. And I sit down in my seat, and I have a gentleman walk up to me and say, "What the hell happened this morning?" And I went, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, first of all, it sounded like you guys were out on a tarmac somewhere." Of which one of us certainly was trying to make this thing happen. And then he also tells me, well, then the dang segment played twice. We're trying, guards.
It was so good.
It's an hour show. We need about 45 minutes of content. And between Burnsy and then I recorded something with Grimm outside the bus, and then PJ's post-game interview, which we only got like half of for other reasons. That Saturday was kind of a meltdown. We had about 30 minutes of content, Chip. And so I said, as I'm texting at 4 a.m. Central Time, before our flight lands, to my boss and Brett, who runs it, I would have Packer Preview go an extra 15 minutes and then play these segments back to back, and then we should be good to go, and everything should be fine. But yes, I'll give you my version. I recorded something with Grimm on the bus, or by the bus, which during the interview, for people that may or may not have heard it, a drunk Cal student comes around the corner from where he was going to the bathroom.
Oh my gosh.
Walks by us, and his pants fall down because he did not redo his belt. This is like 12:30-ish, 12:30 Pacific time.
So you're on the bus, the team bus going from the stadium to the airport.
Grim and I are outside of the stadium outside of the bus, waiting to get on the bus.
Okay.
And a drunk Cal student comes stumbling by. His pants fall down. Grim, of course, can't keep it together. I'm the only pro. So I just basically go, and we're out here. We're outside Cal Memorial Stadium. The Gophers lose 27, whatever it was. A drunk Cal student has just peed on a wall over here. His pants are now on the ground. And we're not sure if he's going to stumble back down this hill right into us. Grimmer, what'd you think of Drake Lindsay? So then Burnsy, the other part of it was Burnsy and I had said, I'm going to try to do like a StreamYard, like we're doing now for people that are watching the YouTube. Let's just try to bang out, 10 or 15 minutes. And before I get on the plane, maybe because there were 2 planes for this trip. The team was on one, and then they had some staff members and us on a second plane to give people more room, which we all appreciate. It was great. But that was kind of getting pear-shaped because Burnsy had to work. I wasn't sure when our buses are leaving. And then our buses were getting out there at the same time. I had told Burnsy, I think we're in good shape if you want to get back to your hotel. And then Burnsy's like, well, now it's like my Uber's a little late. It's going to be 120. Bottom line is I did record the StreamYard with Burnsy next to the airplane on the runway. And it obviously is not going to sound great when you've got 2 jet engines bearing down on you while you're trying to ask Burnsy what he thought of the 3rd and 7 play call. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm sorry we tried so hard for all of you that it was so rough. I could have just punted and said, let's play Fox Sports Radio, but we know people like to hear what Burnsy thinks on Saturday morning at 8:15. So next time, rather than think ahead and try to do our best, you guys are on your own if it's not good enough for you. If you didn't appreciate that effort that would have been 3:30 Central Time in the morning to record that. Get it emailed in, by the way, because Sun Country doesn't have Wi-Fi. Couldn't work on the plane. It all had to be done before. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm sorry for trying so hard, everybody that didn't love how it sounded.
You go the extra mile and you get dumped on for doing it.
We tried our best, and now, like you said, I don't think we'll have one after Rutgers or Ohio State because of the Vikings games. And
I'm not doing a recorded one this time. Screw off, everybody. Now I will say I got a text.
You are scorned.
No, I'm actually fine. I get it. We tried. It didn't work. And I don't think Brett necessarily followed all the instructions that were given to him in my late night text. I was a little loopy.
What do you expect from a K-fan producer, to be honest?
I know. I will say, though, and this is why I'm glad we did it, Burnsy, because I got a text from women's basketball coach Dawn Plitzowite, who, as you know, her program mantra, one of them is find a way. Whatever happens, find a way. Things happen during the day. And she listens every week to Gopher Football Sunday because we talk about it. And she texted me and said, on the road recruiting, way to find a way with your Gopher show. I said, thank you, Coach Dawn.
There's one.
You get it. Yeah, get it. You understand that, hey, they don't ask about the labor pains. They just say deliver the baby, right? I mean, that's what I'm told. I just stood there. But, sometimes it's not going to be perfect, but you got to land the plane somehow, and we did our best. And I can't help that there was a drunk Cal student, walking with his pants down next to us, and I can't help that I kind of mistimed things, and we could have done it a lot smoother had we just banged. I didn't see your text either, Burnsy, when you said I'm going up to the press box. Because my phone, it was so late, it was already in sleep mode. So I wasn't really paying attention. And because we could have just banged it out right there and we would have been no worse for the wear. But that's the fun of the glamour. People think it's all glamour all the time. That's the fun of this. Just winging it and find a way. And now we've got a story.
We'll change our best come October and we'll get this thing ironed out. So it's growing pains the first time around for everybody involved.
Yep. And like today, I had to find a way because my computer melted down. So if we needed the Pair and a Spare show, I had to do it on my phone, and 50 people called me during it. And so I vanished for moments at a time, and you guys did a great job just carrying on like nothing happened.
Well,
that's what we do.
He's the ultimate professional. Many people say that about him. Plus, now we know his phone's always at 100%.
It's all 100%, baby.
Great to see you guys. Have a great week. Enjoy Gopher bye week. We'll have a full weekend of football to discuss, including all of those games that we just talked about. Don't forget to make your reservations for brunch or dinner or chips challenge Chips challenge. If it's your anniversary, which by the way, if your anniversary is this week and you haven't made plans yet, you might not make the next anniversary, or you've just been married so long it doesn't matter. Your anniversary dinner, or even just a date night. The Guardsy challenges, it doesn't have to be an anniversary, but just bang one out quick. Do a quick date night. Make your reservations at jaxcafe.com. That's jaxcafe.com. We'll talk to you next week, boys.